everyone. How's everyone doing? It's good to see everyone out here today. So I just want to thank each of you and every single one of you for being here today. It's an absolute pleasure to be surrounded by you all, and I'm excited to see what this day will hold. Most people have a pivotal moment when they come to an understanding of what their purpose is in life. It often shapes how they see the world, but most importantly, this moment gives them permission to fully live it out. Everyone experiences this moment differently, some through triumph and others in the midst of adversity. My purpose became clear when I stood before the White House Domestic Policy Council and members of the United States Congress, both of which I've had now the opportunity to work for under President 44, to present them with key policy recommendations on child welfare reform that would later become draft legislation. Never did I imagine I would have an opportunity like this, because as I reflect on my past, I recognize that statistically, I should not be where I am today. I am a product of the U.S. foster care system who spent 18 years in care. I should not be a college graduate, let alone have a master's degree in public administration, because only about 3 to 5% of foster youth graduate. Instead, the statistics show I should be homeless, unemployed, incarcerated, or dead. Thankfully, my experiences in the foster care system have not defined me, but refined me into the person I am today. So as I reflect on today's event, I'm reminded that my purpose does not stop here. I want more, and I quickly realized that my purpose is not only defined by my accomplishments, but it must speak of more. On February 14, 2017, I decided to take a plunge and publicly come out as lesbian. Thank you. This was a hard and risky move, given my prior experiences with abandonment and rejection. But after years of feeling tormented inside, feeling ashamed about who I was, and dealing with crippling fear, I realized that if I wanted to experience true liberation and freedom and help others, I needed to take the plunge. This news was a shock to few, a surprise to some, and then I heard many say, "Sis, we knew you were gay, we were just waiting for you to come out." Though my process was easier than I thought, it has also been a place of deep pain and hurt. As we continuously hear about Black and brown bodies being unjustly murdered, discarded, and erased from our lives, the more pain, fear, and doubt rises within. Collada Crowell, Shanta Myers, Branty Mells, and Carice Lewis. 4 innocent Black women recently murdered within 1 week. These 4 women identified as lesbian, but most important, they were human beings who deserved the right to live, yet were violently taken away from us as if they had no right to dream, be, and do. This could have been me, and this could have been you. But the reality is, this is us. We can't pick and choose what matters. Far too often, we look the other way from tragedies because they quote unquote have nothing to do with us, and we can't relate. Injustice, discrimination, racism, and sexism are all relatable, and we need to speak up. This is where compassion, empathy, accountability, and morality come into play. As women and as people, we have a moral responsibility to each other. We have an obligation to protect and stand with those who the justice system, police department, and society perpetually ignore. But we must remember that we aren't saviors in this movement because each of us has the capacity to fight for ourselves. The problem is some of us don't have access. Therefore, we need selfless allies to join in. Don't just show up when it's convenient, but show up when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable. Liberation is not easy, it takes work, and it's ongoing. This is a very important time in history, and an important time to be alive, and also a time to continue resisting. In order for us to sustain this time, we must also look within and challenge the deeper parts of ourselves. Ask questions of ourselves that will move us, shape us, and shake us. Change cannot happen if we are in comfortable places. So ask yourself, when was the last time I was uncomfortable? And not just uncomfortable in the ways of, oh, I can't fit my skinny jeans today, but uncomfortable in the ways that moved you to concrete change. You were so uncomfortable that it propelled you to shift your thinking, shift your resources to help those who don't have access. And more importantly, ask yourself, how have I been inclusive to those often silenced? How far will you go to help women who don't look like us? How far will we go to not only say her name, but fight for her name when it's time? Solomon Burke an influential soul singer, wrote this powerful statement. He said that none of us are free if one of us are chained. With that said, we have more work to do. On November 14th, 2017, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. It was 2:30 in the morning, and as you can guess, I was asleep and woken up by my older sister, who was calling from Boston to inform me that our little sister was found unresponsive with bleeding on her brain, barely alive. We don't know what happened. The shock and devastation I experienced in that moment is something I would never imagine for anyone. I was in California and had to quickly fly to Boston, hoping that she would hang on and wait for me. Thankfully, she did. But soon after, I had to say see you later to my little sister and best friend. Ebony and I grew up together. We were inseparable, but got separated when we entered foster care. We always remained in touch and promised to have each other's backs. In fact, we were each other's keepers. Ebony was the first sibling I came out to, and she was the one who encouraged me when life was difficult, but most important, she challenged me to fight white supremacy, patriarchy, and constantly reminded me that I was the prize. She saw the best in me when I often couldn't see it in myself. She fought for me. Ebony also struggled. She wanted a better life, but was failed by the child welfare system and society. Ebony was forgotten, yet remarkable. One thing that stood out to me about her was no matter what she was experiencing, whether it was domestic violence, homelessness, or drugs, Ebony stayed hopeful and had dreams. Sadly, there are thousands of Ebonys out there who seek liberation, freedom, and the ability to dream, but can't. They are left unheard, voiceless, and the circumstances they are facing seem unbearable. This is where we come in. We must fight for our daughters, sisters, and children. Trauma is real, and if we have the tools to help liberate someone, we should. In turn, we will help them understand their existence as well, because each of our stories are aligned and interconnected. So discovering your purpose is something that is continuous, and it's a transformative process. As we see the humanity within ourselves, it is imperative that we also see the humanity in others, because each of us was created with worth, dignity, and value. It doesn't matter if you are black, white, brown, albino, Asian, differently abled, transgendered, non-conforming, Muslim, undocumented, etc. We each have the right to live. So as I close, I want to remind each of you that as you step forth on this journey to living out your purpose, remind yourself daily that you are more powerful than you know, more equipped than you were ever before, and that each of our life experiences teaches us the beauty of hope and the ability to restore liberation, love, and freedom. Lastly, our time here on earth is short. So let's aspire to inspire before we expire. We will rise. Thank you.